All right. Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. Snuck up on us again, guys. Another new year, but all good stuff. And I am excited for what this year has in store. So we are going to be talking about word of the year today. And also Victoria is going to be sharing with us a little bit. So we have a kind of a mashup of a whole bunch of topics because this is going to be our only Team Connect for January. All right. I have a little bit of sad feelings about that, but it's because so many of you guys are plugging into Alita's accountability calls on Sunday nights. And I just want you to focus on that and not have to have back-to-back like training Sunday night, Monday night. Like family time is important. Don't want you to have to be plugged in every night. So really going to encourage you guys to plug into those, their rank specific trainings. Do that. They're going to be great. That's just for 1 month. Alita is amazing. And it's also going to give me some time to like get some new content together for our team calls for the next couple of months. So it'll be kind of just good and refreshing for everyone. So make sure you're plugged into those, and we will not have Team Connect any other Monday of this month. I do hope to have kind of a weekly planning time, and I'll keep you guys posted on details, but I sent over and posted in our group, in our chat and on our business builder page about the winning week and winning day forms. It's just like a income producing activities, kind of planning time and then daily sheet. I would love to get together and like just have a planning time where we hop on Zoom, we plan out the week, maybe not even talking, but just kind of working together sometime over the weekend. So I will get back to you guys with specifics, or if you have a time that would work well for you, shoot it over to me and maybe we can just hop on and kind of get our week organized at some point during the weekend. Okay, so those are the announcements. We are going to hop into talking about our 2023 goals and word of the year. But before we get like into that, and I do have like some reflection questions that you can answer, we're going to work through this together. But I want to talk to you a little bit about belief. And I know that sounds like hoo-ha, right? When I first like got into Plexus and they're like, you have to believe. I was like, yeah, no, we're good. Like, it just sounded like nonsense to me, honestly, but just hear me out. Okay. Because if it's so important, if you don't believe something is possible, you will never, ever take steps towards accomplishing it, right? Like if you really break that down and think about it, if you don't believe something is possible for you, will you ever take a step towards doing it? 100% no, right? You will not. And so here's a really poignant example of how belief works. I'm going to tell you guys a little story, and you may know that I'm a runner. I'm not running as much now as I was before I had the baby, but I'm trying to get back into it. But I love running. And so here is an example that has always stuck with me. Before 1954, no one thought that a human being could run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Okay. And by the way, like that's insane, right? Like 4-minute mile, are you kidding me? But it had been done in 4 minutes, but no one thought it was humanly possible to get below the 4-minute mark. They just said it's not something that humans can do. They did not believe that it was physically possible until a man named Roger Bannister proved the impossible possible. After many failures, and that's another part of the story that I love, he failed to earn a medal at the 1952 Olympics, and he considered quitting running altogether, right? Like he wasn't even the best. He was just a good runner, but he failed to earn a medal. But he decided to use his pain and humiliation to do the impossible. Doctors and scientists had said that breaking that 4-minute mark for the mile was not possible, or that if it was, it would have to be the perfect conditions, right? Like no wind, no precipitation, perfectly flat clay track, perfect weather, optimal health, all the things, right? Like if it's possible, it's got to be all these conditions. But on May 6, 1954, on a wet track with 15-mile-per-hour winds, after not getting enough sleep the night before, Bannister broke the record. Okay, he ran that mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds, which is amazing. And I actually like found the video clip. I can send it to you guys. Like it's so inspiring. He is just like, it's crazy. He had a pacing partner, right? The guy who ran in front of him, who was like on the same team, and he set the pace. And so Bannister's behind him, like keeping pace. And then that last lap, when he saw that it was going to be physically possible that he could break that 4-minute mark, he just is like he had wings. He just flies past this guy. He is just all out. And then he gets to the end and he just collapses like he gave it his all. It's like, it's so, so emotional. It's so cool. But here's where I'm going with this, okay? He broke that record, and that's awesome. But just 46 days after Bannister broke the record, someone else beat his time. After years and decades and hundreds of years, I'm thinking this isn't possible. He did it. And 46 days later, someone ran it faster. Over the next few years, more and more people broke that 4-minute mark once they realized that it was possible, right? All they needed was for someone to unlock the possibility, and then all these people could somehow magically do it, right? So he proved that it was possible, and it just proves this important lesson. Once you stop believing something is impossible, it becomes possible. So belief is a real thing. It's a real thing. It's not just like a mystical thing. It's not just like floating out there. You have to believe that something is possible if you're actually going to go all out and do it. If he was on that last lap of the mile and he said, oh, not possible, he would not have run that lap the way he ran that lap, right? And he wouldn't have broken the record. But because belief was there, and then that paved the way for other people. So as you set your 2023 goal, start with that. Do you really believe that it's something you can accomplish? And this isn't just for Plexus. Think about your personal goals you're setting, your health goals, your marriage goals, your parenting goals, all the things. Do you really believe it's something that you can accomplish? That's the first step. You have to believe it if you're going to take action towards it. And I don't know if you guys remember, but many months ago, probably almost a year ago, I did a bunch of calls about that book, Winning the War in Your Mind. And if this idea of belief is a struggle for you or something you want to dive more into, read that book. It's so good. And as I was thinking about this topic, I went back to the book, and there's so many great nuggets in there. Your life is always moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts, right? So whatever you're thinking is going to shape who you are. Last year, my word of the year was committed. You have to stop and think, okay, what am I thinking about? What thoughts do I have around that word, right? Because if I say, oh, I'm going to be committed, but all my thoughts are around how I'm terrible at commitment and how I never show up, those thoughts are going to shape my actions. So as you think about your word of the year, also be reflecting on taking your thoughts captive. And this is actually a really spiritual thing. It's a scriptural thing, right? We're supposed to focus on whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about those things, and the God of peace will be with you. So literally transforming our thought lives brings peace into our business, brings peace into our homes, our marriages, all the things. But we have to realize that perception, what we're thinking, is reality. It's what we make happen. If we believe something is possible, then we can make it happen. But if we believe a lie, and this is again from Winning the War in Your Mind, it has as much power over our lives as if it were true. Okay. And there's this hysterical example. I can't remember the guy's name. Craig Groeschel wrote the book. He tells the story about how he was playing a game with his coworker. They were two pastors working in an office together, and he got him into the closet somehow. And they used to play these pranks on each other. And he told him, you're locked in there. You're not going to come out. And Kevin's in there. He's banging. Let me out. He eventually popped a ceiling tile and crawled up and came through the ceiling on the other side. What was hysterical? The door was never, ever locked. He could have just turned the handle and walked out. And Craig uses that as an example. Whatever you believe to be true is going to impact your actions. Because he believed that door was locked, he went through the ceiling to try to get out of the room when all he had to do was turn the handle. So it was a lie. The door was not locked, but it was as powerful as if it were true. Okay. So as you're thinking through your word of the year, as you're thinking through your goals, be very aware of your thoughts. You can even take a thought inventory where you just simply write down the thoughts you're having through the day. We're not always super aware of, especially the negative thoughts we're having, right? We have a lot of them, but we often just they just come and go, and we don't realize the impact that we have. So whatever we want to change, we have to confront, right? We have to confront it if we're going to change it. So don't ignore the thought battle. It's something that you want to engage with, you want to confront. And a great way to do that is just to take your thoughts captive, literally write them down and look at them and say, are these things true or are they lies? Okay. It was not true that the mile couldn't be run under 4 minutes. They thought it was true, but it wasn't. That was a lie. As soon as they realized it was true, it could be done, all these other people started to do it. So we are going to dive into word of the year. I've got some good questions for you. But first, I want to let Victoria talk. She has some thoughts on this topic as well. So she's going to jump in and then we'll do our word of the year.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So I love what Brittany was talking about, believing that it is possible. Okay. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about setting goals, because I know that sometimes when we look at the new year or the new quarter, whenever you set goals, right, it shouldn't just be at the beginning of the year, but all throughout the year for all the different things, business, like Brittany has said, business, finances, marriage, whatever it is. Sometimes we can set safe goals, right? We're afraid to believe that something big is possible. And so I love that she started with that, because it really does start with that belief that it is possible. Okay, so when you're looking at your goals and you're setting goals, I do encourage you to set some specific goals. Okay, we've talked about SMART goals. If we have any teachers on here, I know we have a couple. When I taught, we always set SMART goals. So remember, that means specific, measurable, attainable. Oh my gosh, I'm going to draw a blank on the R. Danielle, help me out. Time-worthy, time. The T is time.
I thought it was like, I thought it was, no, I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway,
I'll look it up. I'm putting it in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. But anyway, my main purpose for that is that you want to be specific. You do want it to be measurable and attainable. Okay. But don't let fear and lack of belief stop you from setting those specific goals. And don't just think like, okay, I want to be, let's say, I want to have this many points by, convention, or I want to help this many people go silver in January. Okay. Don't let yourself get in the way of setting those goals that might seem lofty, because you have to decide, you have to believe it, and then those actions will follow, like Brittany was saying. Okay, you will find a way to do it if you actually write it down. Relevant. Thank you. So I encourage you not only to think these things through, but also write it down. Be reflective, like Brittany was saying. What thoughts are you feeling? If you set a goal that seems like maybe not attainable and seems like it's not possible, write down those thoughts that you're having around that and really reflect and get to the root of that. Why are you thinking that? Why are you thinking it's not possible? And go back to the story that Brittany shared about the runner. And, maybe you're the one that does make it possible and sets that tone for your whole team. Okay. Because when a leader does something or reaches a goal, then others start to believe too. So think about that ripple effect that you can have for your team when you set those high goals and achieve them. Okay. Yes, Fern, we can send it to you. So it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time for the T, time sensitive. So you want to be really specific about how long are you working on this goal? What does it look like? Yeah, Danielle said that she had just ranked senior gold. I had just ranked senior gold when she started sharing, and look how far we've come. So don't let fear stop you. Okay. Write down specific goals, like actually write them down. And for the business, for your personal life, write them down. For me personally, I like to do quarterly goals, because sometimes if I look at the year ahead, that seems too lofty. But if you do have a year goal, let's say it's rank specific, I'm just going to use that for now. Let's say you want to be Ruby by convention. Break that down. Break it down into smaller chunks, because maybe Ruby seems a little far-fetched for whatever reason. Break that down. How are you going to get there? Okay. What does that look like? Where do you need to be at the end of this month? And who are you going to help? And all of that. You really have to break it down little by little. I know when I was teaching, okay, I had to set goals all the time for my students. We always had these data talks. And I know that I've talked to my team about data as well, and like really being reflective in our back office. And I do not like looking at data, but we had to do that. And I had to set very specific goals. And I couldn't let, if there were moments where my students weren't getting it and we didn't meet a goal, I didn't just give up on that. I didn't just say, well, no, I guess that goal is gone now. No, like students have to learn to read. I can't just quit on my students, right? So why are we so quick to quit on ourselves? So you have to be reflective and you have to think, okay, if I didn't meet this goal, that's okay. It doesn't mean anything about you. Just pivot, reflect. What can you do differently, right? Because doing the same thing isn't gonna get you new results. You have to change what you're doing. Just like when I taught, if students weren't gathering a certain topic that we were teaching about, I didn't go back and just reteach the same thing again. I had to be reflective and think, how am I going to pivot? What do I need to change about my teaching? Same thing applies to our business and when we set goals for ourselves and our businesses. So be really reflective on that. And I think that's all I've got for goals. So set those specific goals. I want to see them.
Yes. Yeah. And I just popped in the chat. Like if you want to be Ruby, Victoria gave that example. You can think of that in terms of like, okay, that's 5 goals, right? Like sometimes we say these things like, I want to be Ruby, but we don't think like, what does that mean? It means you need to develop 5 goals. So who are the 5 people that you're working on with their goals to get them to gold so you can be Ruby, right? Like that's really how it breaks down. So as you're thinking about your goals, and it doesn't have to be a rank, it could be a, a certain amount of growth, or you want to develop a certain number of silvers or whatever, but just realize that points are people, right? Like every order, it breaks down. So you can, there's so many different ways to break it down. So 5 golds or 3 golds for senior silvers. Maybe you're someone who's just going to build a whole bunch of silvers, to get to diamond. There's all these different ways, but it helps to be specific. And when I have someone that I know has a goal, like they want to go silver, they want to go senior silver, whatever, I have their name on a Post-it on my desk so that every single day when I sit down to do my work, they're front of mind and their goals are front of mind for me. And that can be really helpful. Okay, let's dive into word of the year. That was great, Victoria. Thank you so much. So first of all, does anyone remember their word or phrase from 2022? If you do, put it in the chat. Yeah. Oh, you guys are awesome. Okay, most people forget by like February 3rd. Impact. Victoria doesn't remember. It's okay. Good job being honest. Breakthrough. Connection, great. Discipline. Mine was committed. Love it. Okay. So maybe first up, do a little reflection, right? Like what was your intention when you chose that word? And did you move in the direction, right? Maybe you're not like fully to where you want to be with that, but did you take steps moving in the direction of, those things that you wanted to accomplish? So reflection is super, super important. And the reason why we do a single word or phrase is so you can really keep it front of mind, right? We can have all these really long goals and you can write them down and that's great. But the single word, it kind of just keeps it front of mind. You can stick it on a Post-it, you can write it on your mirror, you can put it as a lock screen on your phone, whatever you want to do, and keep it really in front of you all year. And so we are going to work through this together. So grab that piece of paper and your pen, and I'm going to ask you guys some questions, and then I'll give you a minute just to jot down thoughts. And I'll do this with you as well. So if you don't have a word yet, this is going to be super helpful. We're going to start with some reflection. Okay. So thinking about the past year, 2022, I just want you to jot down some thoughts on what could you have used more of in your life? What could I have used more of in my life? Okay, so start with that. Okay, and if I'm going fast, I'll pop these questions in our chat so that you can go back and take more time, but I'll just give you like maybe 60 seconds for each one. So what could I have used more of? Next question, what could I have used less of this past year? What could I have used less of? Okay, next question. What characteristics would I like to have in the coming year? When you think about who you're going to be in 2023, what characteristics would you like to see in yourself? And how do you want to feel? This kind of goes along with it. How would you like to feel? Okay, so those are the reflection questions. Now, visualize. So now we were thinking backwards. Now let's think forwards to the year ahead. What do you want to accomplish in 2023? What would you like to accomplish in 2023? Okay. How do you want to be? In other words, what words do you want to describe you? If someone was talking about you, what words would you want them to use to describe you, the way you're going to be this year?
Can you repeat that last one? My kid was nonstop talking to me.
Sure. How do you want to be? In other words, what words do you want to describe you this year? If someone was talking about you, what words would you want them to use to describe you? Okay, and then one more for this. How will developing into that person make you feel? And just a reminder, we talk a lot about goals and ranks and those kind of things, but it's really about the person you're becoming along the way, right? It's not just about, being a diamond, because that's 4,500 points. It's about those transformations that are going to take place as you're becoming that person. And kid you not, right on the top of my planner, there's like a quote every day. It says, a goal is not about what you accomplish. It's about what you become. That's on today. So that's pretty timely. It's about who you become. Okay. And if you can set a time frame to these goals, right? When we're talking about what you want to accomplish, how you want to be, how you want to feel, if you can set a time frame, do it. Like Victoria said, create that sense of urgency by putting a time frame around it. Just like Bannister running that 4-minute mile, you need a specific and a clear goal that in your heart is possible. Okay. You have to believe that these things you're writing down are actually possible for you this year. Okay. So now look back on your reflection, look at your visualization you did here, look at your answers, and just start making a list of single words or short phrases that represent the thoughts you had while you're doing this. So maybe there was a word that kept coming up that you wanted more of, or that you hope to be this year, or maybe it's something you want to let go of, but just make a list. Don't prejudge your thoughts that are coming into your mind. Just let it flow and just make a list of words or short phrases that are coming to mind. Okay, does anyone want to unmute and share some of those words that are popping up? Or you could put it in the chat too.
I will if my daughter stops yelling.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna be I have my video's dark because I'm in here with her, but so I was just writing these down, and the words that came, which I was actually kind of shocked about, because like my word, I was like really set on commitment, but
Mhm.
like after I went through all these questions, that didn't like come up one time.
Mm,
So my words ended up being positivity, emerald, strength, happiness, accomplishment, and good vibes.
mm, cool. I love that. And maybe commitment is part of that, right? But you can kind of
Definitely.
look at,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You can look at those things and then maybe come up with like a short phrase or a word or two words that really like Victoria said in the chat, like it's like your vibe, like your mantra, your vibe for the year. Those are
Right.
awesome.
Yeah. I just feel like last year was just so much negativity that like I just want to focus on positive this year. Just so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Love it. Anyone else want to share?
I can share mine. Mine has a lot to do with balance and consistently staying motivated.
Mhm.
So I tend to ebb and flow and go, all out, full force, and then I burn out. So I
Mm.
really want to try to do a slow burn this year.
Love it. That's good. I feel like that resonates with a lot of people. I'm seeing like heads nodding. I was just talking with Steph and Victoria about the word harmony. And like, actually Christina Williams shared it at Leadership Excellence that we always say like, oh, we want balance, right? Like I want everything to be in balance. And she said, balance almost never happens. There's always going to be one part of your life that's kind of getting more attention. Maybe, it's a really thick season for your family. And so there's a lot of tension going there. Or maybe your business is like, there's high momentum. So you're putting a lot of energy there. Like balance may not be possible, but harmony can be possible, right? Where like there's good communication and you're honoring your priorities and all those things. Like you can have harmony, rhythm. Yes. Love that. I think that's great, Danielle. Anybody else?
Empower. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead, Nicole.
Empower still like keeps coming to my mind, and I've been struggling with this for a couple days now, and I just want to really be intentional with my time so I can empower others. And the niche thing still gets me, and I've had so many people reach out to me in the last couple of days. They're like, okay, I need you to coach me on food and what I should and shouldn't buy at the grocery store. I'm like, okay, this is where I need to go. Like I need to empower them with food and ingredients and things. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, you seriously have so much knowledge. And sometimes like our zone of genius, we don't look at it like that. We're like, oh, that's just normal. It's not. You have a lot of genius in that area, so you just got to let it flow. Love that. Mom, go ahead.
So the words that came up for me was patience, disciplined, loving, kindness. And the phrase that just keeps coming back up to me is being a blessing. And that I was going to mention the niche thing too, because I've had like so many messages about like, your words encourage me. It's not about the products, but it's like the Bible verses and expounding on scripture and positive thinking and that kind of thing. So I think my phrase is just going to be to be a blessing.
Love it.
And with
Yeah.
supplements too, with selling
Great.
plexus as well, but maybe
Yeah.
just focus on trying to meet others' needs.
Right. Yeah.
Aw,
And
Camilla.
I love that. And I feel like if you're focused on being a blessing, yeah, and look at the chat, everyone's like, you are a blessing. So just
Aw,
continue to be a blessing. But it's like sometimes when we take our focus off of selling and just blessing people, like you actually do grow in your business as well. Because
yeah, like I'm so frustrated with my business posts, but then my other posts are like booming, and it's like, okay, well then it's just going to work into conversation,
right.
That's,
Yeah.
so it's funny that Nicole said that about a niche, and that, that definitely is my niche. And I only just realized that this past like 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. Anybody else want to share? And don't feel like you have to have it down yet. This often can take a lot more time and reflection. So I will send the questions so that you guys can take some more quiet time. It can also just be hard to do when people are looking at you on a Zoom. So I will send them in. Your word or phrase may also be something that you struggle with. Like if you want something that's going to be front of mind for you because you struggle with it, that's actually kind of where I went this year. For my phrase, I just chose bring the joy. And not that I always struggle with joy, but sometimes my energy dips a little bit. I'm pretty introverted. So I kind of like implode sometimes and just am not as joyful, but I believe that I can access joy at any time, right? Like we are super blessed. I feel like there's so much joy to be had. And so my word is actually something that I struggle with. I want to bring more joy into relationships, into my marriage, my kid, my parenting, like all the things. So I picked a struggle just to keep it right here in front. Yes, Danielle's going to be having fun. Victoria's having fun. I love it. Growth, consistency, caring, loving, connection. Yes. Yeah, me too, Victoria. I can be really hard on my kids. So I got to focus on being joyful. Stephanie said obedient. Oh, that's so good. That's a hard one, Steph. That's a good one. Yeah, to have with a commitment because it's a struggle. Yeah, they're all so good. Like you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. So just reflect on it and pick something that you think will jive with you for the whole year, right? Like just something that you can really focus on and will be an encouragement to you and something that you can keep coming back to. So yeah, I think that was all I had for you guys. Let me just check my notes. I have a few wrap-up reminders. Again, just with the accountability calls with Alita on Sunday nights, there's a post on our team page. So just make sure if you want to be included that you just comment on that post because we're going to go off the comments to get people plugged in. And then the last thing is that our Renew Me in 2023 is already up. It starts the 9th. So there is still plenty of time for people to get their reset welcome packs. Like if you were talking to people and they were not ready because of the holidays, but this week they're ready to get started, they still have plenty of time. We don't actually start our 3-day reset till the 9th. So keep talking about that. It's going to be fabulous. A lot of you are helping with the posts and the content for that. So thank you so much. I think it's going to be really fun. It's always a good time. Okay, ladies, any last thoughts before we wrap up? Yes, great Monday evening. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. No more team calls this month, but I will get back to you guys about like a planning time and we'll just hop on like sometime over the weekend and just plan out the week. I think that'll be really fun. Okay, guys, Happy New Year. Love you all. Have a great night.